Hey Wanderers! Welcome back to another Foolish Wanderers podcast, the podcast about anything and everything. Today, we're going to be talking about the Bone Wars between Marsh and Cope. Do you know anything about the Bone Wars, Kendra, or is this a complete surprise and, you have no idea what's going on?
I don't know what's going on with it, but if I had to make a guess, I would say, is it like an argument about like an archaeological dig or some dinosaur bones or human bones, something like that, like an archaeological dig that's gone sideways?
You are extremely close.
Okay.
I'm very proud of you.
Thank you.
I didn't tell Kendra what we were talking about because she has to keep it a secret as a little surprise.
I like surprises sometimes. Sometimes.
Yes.
Not the surprise. Oh my gosh! Not some surprises, but you know.
Do you have a bad surprise?
Everyone has bad surprises, right?
Yeah. That's fair.
Yeah.
Alrighty, but yeah, so we're gonna be talking about two of the very first paleontologists, like kind of when this started to become an actual thing. So first we're gonna be talking about Othniel Charles Marsh, who is the older of the two paleontologists. They have some wild names. Both their names are interesting.
It's like you just go like these people. Isn't it interesting? Like back then, you put the crazy name at the beginning. Like the crazy name is your first name, the wild one, and
Not
then
the
now
middle one that you hide.
now the middle one today is kind of usually it's either a toss up. It's either you get like the crazy, exotic middle name one, right? Or you get the I'm named after so and so, like grandparents or same as like your parents or whatever it is. Yeah.
Or you get just the weird ones that your parents made up.
That's the weird one, yeah.
Not the middle name, like the first name.
Oh, the first name.
There's one, okay, I remember this one just always sticks in my brain, but my sophomore year roommate, her mom used to work as in a school system, kind of as I think she's kind of like a para or something.
Okay, like an aide.
Yeah, and she helped a lot of kids with some behavioral stuff. And she said that there's a lot of kids that were named very interesting names. The one that sticks out to me is Orangelo, which is spelled orange jello. Literally the color orange and jello, the gelatin. That's how he spelled his name. Yeah.
Do you think the mom or the dad or just the mom or and the dad that's that was what they were serving after she gave birth? And
it very well could have been.
The nurses were like, you gotta pick a name, we gotta write something on here, and she was just delirious, and she was looked down at her plate and it was orange jello, and she went,
I bet it was something like that. Either that or just we're gonna mess with our kid so hard. It's just gonna be Orangelo.
Well, they did that, and maybe that's why they have behavioral issues.
Yeah. All right, should we get back to Othniel?
Othniel, yeah. Does Othniel have behavioral issues too, or
they both do?
Okay, they both do. Othniel Charles Marsh.
Yes, I'm going to be calling him Marsh.
Or Charles. Marsh.
Charles Marsh.
Okay. Charles Marsh.
Yeah. All right, so Othniel Marsh was born on October 29th, 1831, on a farm in Lockport, New York, just 9 years after the term paleontology was coined, which is the study of fossils and dinosaur bones and stuff.
Is it just dinosaurs?
Mm-hmm.
Can it be like a deer bone?
Hold on.
Oh wait, Paleon. But that'd be the Paleolithic, right? So then that would just be referring to dinosaurs, like the Paleo era, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
so that's okay. So it's just it's strictly okay. You don't have to Google anything.
Fossils. So
sorry.
Sorry. So the official term for paleontology is the branch of science concerned with fossil animals and plants. So prehistoric, anything that's turned into a fossil, basically.
But it definitely has to be from the Paleo era, right?
Yeah, around there. Yeah, I don't know.
It can't be from the Bronze Age and just be
there's fossils. So it says from mid-19th century from paleo, which is Greek or paleo plus Greek onta, which means beings. Paleontol onto.
It's always Greek.
Yeah, Greek or Latin. Anyway, yeah, basically it's a study of fossils. Things from before. That's basically what it is. And this is a very new term at this point. So when he was growing up, he probably wouldn't guess that Marsh would grow up to be one of America's leading paleontologists. His mother died when he was just 3 years old, and his father's only ambition was for his son to become a field hand on the family farm. So he grew up like in a pretty rural, like pretty modest family setting. However, so he showed quite like a strong passion for science even at a young age, and he was very lucky to have a millionaire uncle
Oh
who
my god.
basically
Shut up.
no, this is
I
true.
hate stories like this. I already hate it. I already hate him
Yep, yep.
with his dumb name, Othniel.
Othniel. Yeah, it's either Othniel or Othniel.
I
Yeah,
don't even care how to pronounce his so
but it,
over him I am.
yeah, his uncle was George Peabody.
Like the Peabody Hotel and like the Peabody Award, like that
Uh-huh.
Peabody.
I believe so, yeah. Hold on, let me Google just to double check, but I'm pretty sure. Because he, like, did a lot of funding, and he basically got Othniel, like, a job at Yale and made his decision.
Oh, how nice. This sounds exactly like that book I had to read for work about from the dean or whatever, the president of this college, that was like how I turned this ratty college into this shining diamond. And
Yep.
it was a whole like 200-page book about how he did it. And basically, to sum it up, he just begged his rich multimillionaire friends to give him some money.
Mhm. That's how it works.
That's how it works. That's how
Yep.
all of this works. Everybody
Yeah.
has, it's always like, I was born a poor farmer and I
Uh-huh.
worked the field. And then it's like, then my
Then my
rich,
rich uncle at the time
my
gave me money.
then my rich multimillionaire uncle with a famous last name that you've heard of gave
Mhm.
me a job at Yale.
Yeah, basically, there's, like, a art center, I think it is, that he donated money to build. So it's still, like, the Peabody Center or something like that.
Can't
Yeah.
stand it.
Yeah, so Googling just a quick thing about George Peabody, he was an American financier and philanthropist. He's often considered the father of modern philanthropy, and he was born into a poor family in Massachusetts, and he went into business in dry goods and later into banking. Basically, yeah, he just like donated a bunch to like affordable housing and arts and stuff, and to his nephew, apparently.
He could have donated it to me.
The Kendra Fund.
The Kendra Fund.
For 2025. Hell yeah.
The Kendra Fund. People helping people.
Hell yeah. People helping Kendra.
People helping Kendras.
Hell yeah. So basically, after he was able to go to school, like to Mr. Peabody giving him money, he went to Phillips Academy and then to Yale, and then he eventually was a graduate student in Germany.
Oh, how nice.
Yeah, so he studied like sciences and paleontology, basically.
I'm sure he did.
I'm sure he did. Yeah, I'm sure he was great.
Sure he was great.
Grand human. Our other contender here for the Bone Wars was Edward Drinker Cope.
Drinker?
That is his middle name. We have
Was he
some
named
interesting names.
after like parents' favorite activity, or they
don't
were
know.
just like they saw that baby and they were like, he's a drinker.
He's gonna be a drinker.
He's gonna be a drinker.
I have no idea. I just thought it was an interesting middle name.
I mean, like
Yeah.
it's better. Like if there could be worse middle name, like drinker. Like there could be like murderer or
Stabber. Yeah.
stabber,
Yeah,
liar.
there's
It would be like Edward Liar Cope. Yeah,
I-
stuff could be worse.
a lot of things.
Yeah.
So, Edward Drinker Cope, his life was a stark difference from Marsh's at the very beginning. Cope was born 9 years later, like after Marsh. Cope was born July 28th, 1840, to a wealthy family in Pennsylvania. He took an immediate liking to natural history as a child and attended classes at the Academy of Natural Sciences in Philadelphia. At 18, Cope published his first scholarly article while working as a researcher at the Academy of Natural Sciences. In 1863, to avoid Cope being drafted into the Civil War,
Oh my gosh.
his father sent Cope to Germany to study natural history, and that is where he met the student O.C. Marsh. And this is where their beginning as a friendship and then becoming bitter enemies began.
No lovers.
That'd be
It would have
great.
been fun though, right?
Fun,
Friends to lovers and then to enemies.
bitter rivals.
These
Just
two have fun names.
they do.
Mhm.
Very interesting names. And there was a little bit that I did see that originally Edward's father wanted him to be more like a wealthy landowner and like do more like it's basically like being like a realtor or something like that.
A realtor?
Or like like a landowner,
Okay.
like a
Well,
landlord. That's what I'm thinking of. Like
a
a
la
landlord. Just
oh, a
kinda
landlord.
being
Okay.
like kinda what
Well,
his dad did, I think.
if
Um
him and Othniel, whatever the heck, the other dumb one,
yeah.
those two would have just been like, lovers. They could have gone to they could have taken over Othniel's family farm
They could've,
and
but they
done like the
didn't.
land thing over up there. I don't know.
Yeah,
At
they
a bed and
could've.
breakfast?
Oh, that'd been lovely. It's a
Yeah,
Hallmark
upstate.
movie.
Is it in upstate New York? Maybe I don't know. It's in New York somewhere.
I
Lockport.
don't know
Don't
where that
know.
is. I don't know.
I'm
Do you want me
gonna
to Google it?
I'm gonna Google it quick.
Here you go. Okay. But yeah, so yeah, no, Cope's dad basically was like, I don't want my son in the Civil War, so you're going to Germany. Surprise.
Oh, gorgeous! By Niagara Falls. Oh,
Really?
yeah. They would have had a lovely. Too bad. Another universe.
Could have had a thriving bed and breakfast. Could have made a Hallmark movie out of it.
Oh my god, I would watch that.
Oh my
What was
goodness.
I gonna say? Oh, I also love it that his dad was like, not my son dying for, in the war. No, no, no.
Not my son.
Not my son. Yeah.
Oh man. Yep.
History doesn't repeat itself, but it definitely rhymes.
Oh, absolutely it does.
Yep. Other
Yep.
rich people have definitely, that we will not name on this podcast, have also done similar things.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Yay. Okay, so now we're going to get into a little bit of the time that they were friends. So in Berlin, Cope befriended the rising star in the field of natural sciences, Othniel Marsh. As young American scholars abroad, they likely bonded over their shared interest in paleontology, a relatively young academic field focused on the study of ancient fossils. Kendra just mouthed to me, they're lovers. They're just like sliding little notes in between the fossils. They're like, here you go. You can open it when you find it. So after their return to the United States, the two men exchanged letters.
Huh? Ah!
And even named newly discovered species after each other.
That's romantic.
It's so romantic.
Instead of the stupid star one, you could.
Fossils, which is cooler.
That's cooler.
I
That's way
love stars,
cooler.
but
The stars is cute too, but I feel like one of them is gonna it's gonna be called like the Sabrina Julie Edward 5,000 other names star.
oh,
Like everybody's gonna have the same star.
I don't know. Maybe
I think so.
there's billions of stars.
There's billions of stars, but like how many can we see at a
I
time?
don't know.
And it
That's a good
changes.
question.
I don't know. The Sabrina
lot.
Julie Edward
Othniel star.
Othniel star.
Hell yeah.
Naming it after fossils is cooler though.
That is cool. So Cope, the younger one, named an amphibian fossil, Pythonus marshi, after Marsh in 1867, which is actually, I think it's one of the smallest, like, reptilian fossils. Mr. Kendra.
Sorry, he had a salad, and then I was like, "No, thank you.
Oh.
Please put it in the fridge." And then he said,
Oh.
"But there's hot chicken in it." And I said, "I don't think the audience wants to hear the sound of hot chicken going in my mouth."
I mean, do you want to eat? You can eat.
No, I'm fine.
Okay.
I eat later.
Okay.
I'm too invested in this love story.
I know, it's great. Okay. So
No, hot chicken later.
hot chicken, delicious. Okay. So, in return, the next year, Marsh named a new and gigantic serpent. So we started off, Cope named like one of the smallest serpents, or like reptilian things after Marsh, reptilian fossils after Marsh, and Marsh named one of the biggest serpents after Cope. Is the serpent from the Tertiary of New Jersey, Monstarius copianus, I believe is how you say it.
I like that they're naming like the smallest serpent and the biggest serpent after each other.
Yeah, isn't it cute?
Interesting.
Isn't it cute?
Innuendos. Perhaps.
Perhaps. It's the forbidden love for the time.
Forbidden love.
Just naming each other after fossils. It's so cute.
It is cute.
It kind of is cute, yeah. That'd be fun. Okay, so we're getting into the betrayal now. So their
Oh
friendship...
no! This is like
Already.
only one page of their.
Yeah, no, their friendship was very short-lived. It was only about 2 years. And it was very short. Their romance was very short. So during this time, paleontology was still in its infancy, and the newness fueled its brewing competition between Marsh and Cope as they sought to proclaim themselves as its leaders. They both wanted to like discover the most dinosaurs and like be the head of paleontology, basically.
Okay.
So the rush to stake their claim in the field played a big role in pulling them apart. So at this time, like both Marsh and Cope had like their own basically like fossil hunting grounds. And in 1868, in an act of friendship, Cope had shown Marsh around his fossil quarry in Haddonfield, New Jersey. Behind Cope's back, however, Marsh made an agreement with the quarry owner to have any new fossils sent directly to him at Yale University. Cope would later describe the act as the beginning of the end of their friendship. Which, yeah, no shit.
Othniel!
Yeah, no, he was a backstabber from the very beginning. He's supposed to be like the older, wiser one. No, he
No.
just gotta.
That
He's like,
uncle's money got
nope.
to his head.
Yep. And I believe Marsh's like kind of like quarry was in Kansas. I believe so. Like Cope's was in New Jersey and Marsh was in Kansas. I think.
Okay.
So to add salt to the wound, Cope published a description of. I apologize if I mispronounce this name. Lasmorphosis paturus, a newly identified species in a scholarly journal. In reconstructing the creature, however, Cope made a serious error. He flipped the animal's tail and neck around. So basically, he put the skull of the animal on its tail instead of on its spine. Which, if you look at this, like, creature, it does make sense why he would do this, because the tail of this creature, I'll try to put some images in the YouTube videos this time, see if I can put those in there without getting flagged. But the creature that he discovered, the neck is insanely long and the tail is stubby in comparison. So to me, it makes sense why he would accidentally put this on backwards. But yeah, no, he's supposed to have a super long neck and like a short tail, but he put the head on the short tail part instead. Yeah.
Well, that Yale, education surgeon helped with that, now did it?
Well, that was Cope. So Cope, the one, yeah, the
Never
younger one.
mind. The younger one.
The younger one. But Marsh did call out Cope quite quickly and publicly on his mistake, and he basically rubbed his nose in it. So not only did he steal his quarry and like all of these fossils from under his
Yeah.
nose, he was like, you made a vital mistake, and I'm gonna make you publicly embarrassed.
He's like, actually, yeah.
I'm a shitty human. So, humiliated, Cope quickly published a correction and even tried to purchase all of the known copies of the American Philosophical Society journal with this error that was published.
Oh my
So
god,
he like
that's hilarious.
it's so sad because like he would like
He's like grabbing all the
yeah,
newspapers like out of the movie. He's like,
yeah, like don't look at the headlines.
wasn't
Ignore
that
it.
like an episode of Hannah Montana or something? Like Hannah had to like try to buy out all these like
I think so.
magazines or something.
That sounds familiar. Yeah,
Sounds like a Hannah Montana plot line.
yeah, but it happened, and I
He
feel
has the
kinda
money
bad.
to. He has the money to do this. They both
At this
do.
point, he does.
They
Yes.
both do.
Yep. But damage had already been done. So
Oh.
basically, like it's known in history, and you can Google it quite easily.
Oh yeah, we're
and see the
talking about it
mistake.
right now.
I know. So of the incident, Marsh later wrote, "When I informed Professor Cope of it, his wounded vanity received a shock from which it would never have recovered, and he has since been my bitter enemy." So yeah, no, he just is a shitty human. He was like, "You were my friend, but I want to be more famous than you, so you're gonna have to suffer."
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
I
no, he
knew
was. Yeah.
that Othniel's nasty.
He is. He's a nasty man. So the rivalry between the two paleontologists intensified as they each headed west to hunt for fossils. They rushed to rake up fossils and make greater discoveries than the other. So in 1871, Cope descended on the site in Kansas that Marsh's team had recently abandoned. So Cope's dig yielded a skeleton of an ancient flying reptile, and it was bigger than the one that Marsh had turned up in the same quarry. So he was like, haha, you missed this one, sucker. So Cope delighted in the find, and Marsh was infuriated. Which obviously, but he gave up. Like, what are you gonna do at that point? That's not your land anymore.
Right.
Go away. So as their war heated up, Marsh and Cope resorted to different methods to undermine one another, including accusations of plagiarism, spying, and rushing to outpublish each other. Marsh divided his attention between recovering as many fossils as possible in the yet unexplored region, and his constant dread that Cope might retrieve a share of the bones of equal quantity or interest. Marsh even went so far as to have spies track Cope's progress, referring to Cope by the code name Jones, which kind of reminds me of like Indiana Jones. I don't know if that's correlated, but it is interesting. But yeah, no, he was like, he not only like damaged Cope's name, he's like, I'm gonna send spies after you, and you're gonna have a code name, and I'm gonna keep tracks on you.
Oh my
He's just
gosh.
like, he's vicious, and I don't like him. So for his part, Cope competed by rushing to publish his findings in academic journals. A practiced paleontologist, Bob Baker
It's
called...
big.
Sorry.
Come on down. You're the next contestant on The Price is Right.
Your next contestant on what fossil did
What
you
fossil
find?
did you find?
Hell yeah.
I'm your host, Bob Barker.
He's been doing it a long time. Alright, so Bob Baker, the paleontologist, calls taxonomic carpet bombing.
Huh?
So basically, like, he would rush to like publish all these things. Like Marsh would be like, or Cope would like find all these things and be like, here, I got this first. Like, would publish things without necessarily doing like,
oh, your due diligence to just like double
just,
check
like,
everything. It's
yeah,
just like,
you're
get
like,
out
I
there
found
now.
this-
Hot
yeah,
potato.
basically.
Okay.
Yep. So going further, in an effort to ensure his work got recognized, Cope purchased the American Naturalist Journal in 1877. He often used it as a forum to criticize Marsh and his work.
Smart.
It is smart, especially after what Marsh had done to him.
I mean, this is what you do when you're rich. You own the news. Like Jeff Bezos owns the Wall Street Journal.
Yep.
That's the only example I have. Right? Oh, Elon owns,
X,
Twitter.
Yeah, I still call it Twitter.
I still call it Twitter too. Best branding of a ever.
Yes.
You just ruin it all for X.
Yep.
For some sort of like Dr. Evil company name.
Yes. Yeah, no.
Twitter was way better than the
Absolutely.
thing of X. Yeah.
It
Whatever.
was a pretty blue. It was black.
Now it's black. I do
It's
like
sad.
the darker, like it could be like a dark bird, like a black bird or whatever. But
Ooh.
like you should have.
I miss the bird.
I miss the bird. The bird logo's perfect.
It's so cute.
Tweeting, you tweeted, but now it's called like just posting or something. I don't know.
Oh, I don't know. No, Twitter was better.
Twitter's better.
So between 1879 and 1880, Cope published 76 academic papers. So within the span of like a year, he published 76 papers.
Is that a lot? Like that seems like
That's
a
a
lot, right?
That's a lot of papers. That's like he's just constantly just writing, just constantly making stuff.
Okay.
So this was a small percentage of the 1,400 articles that he would write over the course of his lifetime.
Wow.
He
He's
didn't live
busy.
that long. Very
What?
busy. He's like
Mhm.
Alexander Hamilton. He just keeps writing. This made him one of the most prolific authors in American scientific history. In just a few years, the number of known dinosaur species jumped from a small handful to more than 100
Whoa.
because of these two in this war. So rivalry escalated when they both maintained crews at dig sites in Carmel Bluff, Wyoming, from 1877 to 1879. Marsh even directed his crew to destroy any remaining bones at the site before they departed, so that Cope couldn't get them. So, like, he
oh
destroyed...
my gosh!
Yeah, no,
So
he
his thing
destroyed
was
evidence.
I don't have time to take all of this into. I'm just gonna burn down the city. If I can't live in the city, I'm gonna burn it down.
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah, he like
wow.
destroyed it for future generations too. Like, you can't get those back. So he's just like, if I can't have it, so you guys
No
can't
one
have it.
can
So-
have it. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh!
Yeah, no. To me, he is worse than Cope. Like, neither of them are great, but Marsh, to me, is a bigger
evil
villain.
one. Yeah, he's a way bigger villain.
Yeah, yep. So Marsh was determined to pull his rival out of business, or put his rival out of business. In 1882, he used his superior connections and political skills in Washington, D.C. to become chief paleontologist of the newly formed U.S. Geological Survey. This gave Marsh access to an immense amount of institutional support. Not only did he have access to federal funds, but he gained a significant amount of political power. He set out to isolate Cope, cutting him off from the government funding, which both of them had relied on for over many years. So, especially for the preparation of expensive illustrated volumes reporting on their fossil discoveries. So, like, it takes money to put all your fossils and all your sketches and everything together in a book, and all of a sudden that's taken away. That funding's taken away from Cope. So only Marsh can do that.
I mean, he was smart though. Like Cope was like, okay, well, I'm gonna buy part like a port like the media, like I'm gonna own the
Uh-huh.
media that's gonna
Uh-huh.
crap on you. And then Marsh was like, oh, is that so? Because here we go, I am now in the government
Yep.
and I have political power, and that is the most powerful thing here in the United States.
Yep.
I don't care if the media, what the media is, because I can give you your and take away your funding.
Yep. Now you have no money
Now you have no
coming in to
money.
help you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
That's checkmate. That's checkmate. Okay.
Unfortunately, yeah. So a desperate Cope attempted to make up for the loss in a silver mining venture in New Mexico. Instead, he ended up losing everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't just be like, I'm a nerd that is really into these bones, and then the next minute say, pivot silver mining in Nevada.
New Mexico.
Oh, New Mexico. You know,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, it's a huge change. Yeah. I don't know.
no.
So yeah, no, he's at this point pretty financially ruined, unfortunately.
Diddy, yeah. Diddy, can I have more money?
Did he?
Diddy.
Did he? So by 1890, separated from his wife and child, Cope was living alone in a small Philadelphia apartment.
Living alone, you say?
Yes. Time for Marsh to come in. Come back.
Loveless marriage and a child
Ah,
that's unattended, you say?
ah. I think they both got married and had kids. At least one
I
child.
mean, they all did in that day.
Yeah,
They didn't like.
mostly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So his fossil collection was all that he had left at this point, and Marsh then made a fatal mistake. He attempted to take Cope's fossils. So on December 16th, 1889, Cope received a letter from John W. Noble, U.S. Secretary of the Interior. Noble demanded in the letter that Cope relinquished his fossil collection and gave it to the Smithsonian Institution. Since Cope had been working with a government agency at the time of their collection, Noble claimed these fossils were not his, claiming that they had been collected with federal money and thus belonged to the government. Cope pointed out that he had spent upwards of $80,000 of his own money to finance the expeditions.
Oh,
He also,
wow.
it's a lot, especially back then.
Oh, yeah.
He also protested what he believed was a conspiracy against him. Noble's name may have been on the letter, but Cope believed it had another author, Marsh. Fueled with a fire for vengeance, he set out to finally destroy Marsh. So for years, Cope had been collecting information, records of nefarious, underhanded dealings, and accusations of scientific impropriety to use against Marsh. He turned them over to the freelance journalist at the New York Herald, an eager purveyor of scandals. The headline read, "Scientists," this is all capitals by the way, "Scientists wage bitter warfare," and set off a firestorm. So the public battle lasted for about 2 weeks, as the professors fired accusations back at one another. Marsh and his allies in the U.S. Geological Survey were publicly accused of corruption, incompetence, and misuse of government funds. Congress investigated and eventually slashed funding for the survey, eliminating the Department of Paleontology along with Marsh's position.
Nice.
So that was like a good blow.
Headshot.
Yes. So this eliminated his position, power, and most of his income. So as a final indignity, the Smithsonian demanded that Marsh turn over a large part of his own fossil collection, some of which had, in fact, been collected with government funds. So something that
Okay, well,
he said that like Cope was doing, he in fact did himself as well. So so he was like, no,
oh,
no, 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 no. You, sir,
you
also.
did. Yeah.
Don't point fingers when you were also doing the same thing. So the paleontologist's flair for the public slander had damaged both of their reputations. Cope wasn't able to find a bidder who could afford his entire fossil collection, which he had spent over 20 years developing. Finally, a fellow at the American Museum for Natural History bid about $32,000 for part of the collection. In 1897, Cope became ill and died at the age of 56. So he was pretty young at this point.
Is that young in those days or kind of like older-ish?
I think that was like older age then.
Older-ish. Okay.
Yeah, I think it was still kind of young, but it
Okay.
wasn't like now. Like now, that's like super young. But then I think it was, kind of
Older.
older. Yeah. In 1899, at the age of 67, Marsh died of pneumonia with just $186 in his bank account. Over 80 tons of Marsh's personal collection of fossils was acquired by the Smithsonian, but Marsh left the bulk of his collection to the Peabody Museum of Natural History at Yale, and that's what his uncle funded at Yale. So while the feud between Cope and Marsh consumed the scientists' lives and damaged their careers, the amount and quality of bones that they each collected became the foundation of paleontology in America. Cope left behind 13,000 specimens, and Marsh's comparable collection proved to be, quote, the best support of the theory of evolution, end quote, according to a personal letter from Charles Darwin himself. So, like, even though, like, they basically set out to destroy each other, they
Yes.
did a lot to, like, push paleontology. So, in conclusion, the final tally was truly impressive. Marsh discovered 80 new dinosaur genre and species, while Cope named a more than respectable 56. So they both found a ton of dinosaurs and like other fossils. The fossils discovered by Marsh and Cope also helped to feed the American public's increasing hunger for new dinosaurs. Each major discovery was accompanied by a wave of publicity, as magazines and newspapers illustrated the latest amazing finds. The reconstructed skeletons slowly but surely made their way into major museums, where they still reside to the present day. The Bone Wars had a couple of negative consequences as well. First, paleontologists in Europe were horrified by the crude behavior of their American counterparts. This left a lingering bitter distrust that took decades to dissipate. And second, Cope and Marsh described and reassembled their dinosaur finds so quickly that they were occasionally careless. For example, 100 years of confusion about the Apatosaurus and the Brontosaurus can be traced directly back to Marsh, who put a skull on the wrong body. So he just blundered that. Like, he made fun of Cope for like switching the tail with the head end. Like, he
Yeah.
put a different skull on a completely different dinosaur. So like, yeah, no,
they both did
the same thing, just at different times. So some of the dinosaurs that they are credited to have found or discovered include the Triceratops, the Stegosaurus.
Cool.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. The Allosaurus, the Brontosaurus, the Creatosaurus, and the Heporotonus, I believe is how you say it. Yeah, there's a whole list, and I'll leave like everything in the resources and stuff, and I'll try to put pictures up on the YouTube video just so you guys can kind of get a look at some of these. But yeah, there's a lot of really well-known dinosaurs that these guys found within this whole...
the Stegosaurus. Stegosauruses are cool.
Yeah, and the Triceratops and the Brontosaurus, those are the three main ones that I know.
I know the Allosaurus.
Yeah. Yep.
I know that one, but the other two I don't know.
Mm-hmm. One of them's a bird. The last one's a bird.
That I don't want to know. I do not want to know her. I don't want to know her.
It's like basically a prehistoric penguin or pelican.
Don't want to know her. Don't want to know her.
All right, so some resources from this podcast include the pbs.org, nationalgeographic.com, thoughtco.com, iknowdino.com, and of course, Wikipedia. So what did you think about our paleontology feud?
I thought it was a great episode, Katrina. Like, you did a great job with all the research, and I loved the titles where it was like, they met, they were friends, betrayal.
Hell yeah.
Then
it was just a great love story all around.
It was a great... Yes. I mean, it was a tragedy. It was like, it was a Greek tragedy. Oh. It was a Shakespearean romance.
Yes, I agree.
They are, yeah.
This should become a musical. That would be fantastic.
It should be a musical.
It would be so fun.
It should be a musical. I would love that.
I think there is a couple board games. There's, of course, documentaries and stuff, but I think there is a movie based off this. I want to say there is. I might be wrong. Let me Google quick. But yeah, there's definitely like games and stuff based off of it now.
It's hilarious. It's so petty.
It's so petty, but it's
destroy great. All these dinosaur bones so that you can't come in. Oh my gosh.
Oh wait, so I have an article from 2013 from Wired.com saying that Bone Wars, Steve Carell and James Gandolfini to play battling paleontologists. Apparently it was like an HBO thing.
Gandolfini? Isn't he dead?
I don't know. This is from 2013.
Isn't he dead? Isn't that the guy from Sopranos?
Could be. Dinosaur Wars. Okay, so there's a documentary film from PBS that is called Dinosaur Wars.
Yeah, that guy's dead, Katrina. That's the guy from Sopranos.
Oh, no. I want to see, did they actually make it? Because it's supposed to be an HBO thing, it says. Oh, okay, so he was set to do it. Okay, so yeah, so apparently when Gandolfini died, they put the project on hold. So I don't think there is a movie.
I don't think there's a movie. That's too bad.
There needs to be
There
Steve
needs to be a
Carell.
musical. I need a musical.
Oh, that'd be so much fun. We need to do that, or at least a play, something.
A play, a musical. You could do it. You could direct it.
We could do it. Oh, I'd
You
love
gotta
that.
write it.
We should. We should write it. All right, Wonders. Thank you so much for joining us for another fun adventure at the Foolish Wanderers podcast. We hope you enjoyed. If you have any other suggestions for future podcasts, please feel free to email us at fwplisteners@gmail.com.
And as always, new episodes of the FWP are released to wherever you get your podcasts from, including this place that you are listening to right now.
Yes. All right, Wanderers. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you guys next time.
I think that was like a top 5 episode.
Aww,
I thought that was great.
you.
Also, I cannot believe you did not add this photo of Marsh, like all sassy, like in the back of his expedition. Like, do you see how he has to be the front
Just a villain.
sassy? Look at him
I know. He's
in the
just like
back,
he's like mob
taking a.
boss.
He's like a mob boss. You see that elbow just like on top? You see his elbow just popped out, flared up.
Sassy drama queen.
Such a drama queen, destroying
Gosh.
evidence. Oh,
And destroying your ex-lover's life.
allegedly. But probably.
Allegedly.
Allegedly, that Katrina and I like to believe. We'd like to believe that's what happened to make it more like up the stakes.